The following program was underwritten by the Resource Enhancement and Protection Conservation Education Program.
So we're to the turning the tire part of the calibration. First thing we have to do is mark the tire so we know how many revolutions, and that's why we have this chalk or tire crayon. Chalk works pretty good too. So then we need to spin the wheel, but before we actually start spinning in our 37 times, let's spin it 4 to 5 times just to get seed in these cups, so we get seed in the system. And otherwise, if you spin it 4 or 5 times, there's some, those picker wheels are empty, and you're going to get kind of a false reading. So you want to kind of prime the pump, as it were. You definitely want to turn the wheel in the same direction that it normally drives. Don't turn it backwards. So always turn it forward. Okay, there. You can hear the seed. That's about 5 turns. Just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, there's the seed in just one bucket. That was only 5 turns, so we need to, turn it 37 times. There's going to be quite a bit of seed in there. So don't forget this step. Dump your seed back into the hopper or in the box. Make sure that the seed is over your delivery tubes. And we are ready to spin 37 times. 1, 2, 3, 36, 37. All right. Now we need to combine the seed from all 3 of our buckets into one bucket. And we need to weigh our bucket, and it's 8.66 ounces. 8.66 ounces. Multiply by 6.25, and this is one of those other Truax numbers that they give as a factor. So we take our number of ounces of our seed weight, we multiply it by 6.25. 8.66 times 6.25. And we come out with 54.125. That is pounds per acre. That is actually, we measured it in ounces, but that's actually the pounds per acre after you do the multiplication by 6.25. So at our setting, we are going to deliver a little over 54 pounds per acre of seed. Well, we have only 69 pounds of bulk seed, and we have 6 acres. So if we just take this amount, if we just take that 54 pounds and we multiply it by 6 acres, we would need 324 pounds of seed. And so our seeding rate is way too high. So even at 3, it's way too high. We're going to have to scale that down. So we need to calibrate again and readjust the gate on our box, probably down to 1 or 1.5. And so when you go back into your second calibration, dump the seed back into the hopper that you did from the first, and then basically take your hand and just push the seed up forward and cover those divots up. And that way you're good. You're good for going back and calibrating for the second time. And now we replace the buckets back under the delivery tubes or chutes. Okay. And we need to adjust our seeding rate gate. Remember we started at 3. I'm going to go down to 1.5. I'm going to go half of what it was before, so 1.5 on our gate. And then we will recalibrate, spinning the wheel 37 times again, just as we did the first time. 35, 36, 37. Okay, let's combine our seed. From all 3 buckets into one. Let's weigh our seed. And we come out with 1.0 1.225, and let's multiply that by 1.225 times 6.25, and that is 7.6 or let's just say 7.7 pounds per acre. And then we have 6 acres, so let's multiply that by 6. We come out to, let's just say 46 pounds. So we're actually under the money there. We have 69 pounds of bulk seed to work with for 6 acres, and we're only going to consume 46 pounds. So we actually went too far and lowered the seeding rate too low. So now we need to go back and kind of split the difference between the two. So same process as you did between the first and second. You dump your seed that you collected back into the box. Cover the divots. Cover the divots again, best you can. We need to replace our collection buckets underneath the tubes. Okay. And we had the gate set, and originally set at 3, then we calibrated the second time at 1.5, and I'm using the force, but I feel like maybe 2 might be the ticket. 36, 37. Let's combine all of the seed from all 3 buckets. Here's the total seed. And we come out to 1.7 ounces. 1.7 times 6.25 equals 1.7 times 6.25, 10.625. So we're delivering 10.6 pounds per acre. Let's multiply it by our 6 acres, our planting site. And we come out with 63.75 bulk pounds for our planting site, for our 6 acres. And that's just right. We have 69 pounds of bulk available. And I like to keep my seed within about 10% below of what I have available. And that way, if there are areas that I want to run over the site again or reseed some areas, I have a little bit of seed left over at the end of the planting that I can do that. It gives me a little flexibility to run the drill over a couple of areas, that need to be seeded heavy. And so I always like to calibrate the drill a little under than what the available seed I have in bulk. That concludes calibration of the Truax no-till grass drill, but we're not quite done yet. We have to reassemble what we took apart, and depending on if you're going to go out and seed right away or not, you'll have to deal with the seed that's in the box. You really, if there's a period of time between the time you calibrate and the time you're actually going to go seed out in the field, you might be better off to use a shop vac and suck the seed out of the drill and keep it in cold storage until you're ready to seed. You really don't want to leave your prairie seed in a hot box. It'll lose germination, and that seed's fairly expensive. So we'll go ahead and reassemble the tubes back on. When we did our calibration demonstration, we used the rear box, but I wanted to point out the middle and the front box. We're at the front end of the drill, and the middle box is right here. This is the warm season native grass box. This is for really fluffy seed. And you go through the same procedure. You need to remove 3 tubes, and where you remove those are these big tubes right here. So you remove these 3 tubes, and there's a hose clamp on each of the top of the tubes that you take off. These pop off. You put your bucket underneath here, and then you go back, you fill up the cell that's above the tubes that you removed. You put your material, your seed material in there, and then you go back and you spin the wheel just like you did on the rear box. And if you were unfortunate enough, if you have to use all 3 boxes for your seeding project, then you'll have to do each one independently. You'll have to calibrate each box independently. Now for the adjustment for this middle box, it's behind this housing right here. And it's a series of sprockets, and all you do is you remove this chain to go to up, or you can go down. decrease or increase the seeding rate. So to calibrate this front small seeded box, here it is right here. It's a very small box. It's for very small seed. You'll want to remove 3 feeder tubes, which are these tubes here. Now keep in mind these are clear plastic. The tubes that come from the factory are black. They're black tubes. And these are actually anhydrous ammonia tubes that we replaced with, and that way we can see if the tubes are plugged as we're drilling. With the black tubes you can't tell. So what you do is you pull these tubes out, these 3 tubes, you put your receptacle under here to capture your seed, you put your small seed in the top of the box here above the tubes that you've removed, you put your seed up here, and then you spin the wheel and go through the calibration procedure just like you did for the middle box and just like you did for the rear box. Now your adjustment, your seeding rate adjustment for this front box is this little gate lever right here, and it goes from 0 to 16, I believe. And so, you know, it just works just like the rear box, same principle, except for it's a much smaller scale, and it's much more finely graduated because small seeds, just a little movement in the gate on this particular box can make a big difference in the seeding rate. And then once you're done with that, the drill has been calibrated.